Did you know that before, you were able to see other people's ranks in competitive, or that Rays used to have 2 grenades? Here are 34 Valorant facts you maybe missed. Breach actually used to have 3 flashes, as if 2 weren't enough already. The speed of Flash was also around 25% faster than it is today. This meant that his flashes were nearly undodgeable. In the end, his flashes were nerfed because he was so broken. Go figure. Some people already know that Yoru's ultimate has some blue lines as an indicator for enemies that shows if they're within his line of sight. But not many people know that you can't exactly trust it. You can simply hold your skill out just before they get within your line of sight, and they won't know at all you're already near them. The boxes of Radianite in the map actually used to be orange instead of green. I'm guessing they had to change it for lore purposes, as now the color of the boxes indicate which world the Radianite actually comes from. For all the Jet players out there, did you know that there's a tech for silent dropping with Jet's glide passive from every height? You simply need to activate it just before you hit the ground, and you'll make 0 noise. Oh, I just... Did you know that there used to be samurai armor kept contained in a site of the map Icebox? Well, until Yoru was released, that is. He actually went to find some answers regarding his ancestors and ended up breaking in and taking the mask for himself. That is such cool attention to detail. For a short period of time, some agents used to be just in the range. Cypher was leaning on the wall, Fade was looking over a blackboard, and Brimstone was sitting in his office. Killjoy's bots were also there, it seems. Did you know that back then the operator cost only 4,500 credits? And then the max credits you could keep was actually 12,000 instead of 9,000 that it is today. That made it insanely difficult to gain momentum on a loss streak, since the enemy could just keep buying more ops anyway. Instead of a whole clone, Yoru actually used to have footsteps instead. But then Riot decided that a clone looked cooler, so they changed it. Guys, if you think Raze is broken today, you have no idea. Beta Raze was so broken. She had 2 grenades and her ultimate cost only 6 orbs. Her boombot used to cost only 200, while her satchels cost 100 while dealing 75 HP of damage. In the end, she got nerfed to 1 grenade, satchel damage to 50 HP, her ultimate costs 8 orbs instead, and got a boombot design change. Some people can see that as a nerf. Did you know that Gekko's ultimate can actually detain allies if they're in range of the final impact? Yeah, so be careful. Speaking of abilities with friendly fire, Viper's Decay actually used to affect allies as well. This made her ultimate an absolute nightmare to play in no matter what team you were on. Thankfully, they did change this one later on down the line. Killjoy and Raze were actually confirmed to be a canonical couple in another agent takeover of the Valorant Twitter account. This was after years of hints and not so subtle voice lines.
Killjoy, gotcha. There's no one else I'd rather fight beside. Or dance with.
Drive them crazy, Raze. You're good at that.
Did you know that in the old store UI, some guns didn't have the silencer on them? For example, some guns included in this were the Spectre, the Ghost, and the Phantom. And even still, you could actually use the unsilenced version of Spectre and Phantom in the range for a bit. Did you know that Brimstone used to have 2 stim beacons? Yes, it was like this, but probably because it was too OP, Riot decided to remove one of them. Neon's character design was co-developed with the League of Legends champion Zeri, and they're meant to represent negative and positive charges respectively. Speaking of Neon, she's actually the youngest agent so far at 19. On the other hand, Brimstone is the oldest that we know of, seeing as he's between 45 and 50. That's why he has the voice line where he threatens those who underestimate him.
They think I'm an old dog? I'll show them just how many tricks I know.
We all know Reyna's a little bloodthirsty.
Yes, you will not kill my
But have you ever sat down and wondered why? Turns out that she uses her soul-devouring abilities to keep her sister Lucia alive, with the help of Viper. Her sister is the person that she cares for the most. However, due to events that we don't have complete understanding of yet, she is currently in a critical state, bordering on the edge of death. That's the why of the voice line where she says,
For you, hermanita.
which means sister in Spanish. And, well, Reyna's old kit was not playing around when it came to these soul-devouring abilities. She used to have 4 orbs, was invulnerable for longer, and healed to max every single time. On top of all of that, her ult was even better. When the game just came out, people had no idea how to counter it. KO could be considered one of the most annoying agents to face, but did you know that KO's name is actually an acronym? According to Fade, it stands for Kingdom Anti-Yield Operative, which is the same name of the project they created him. Alternatively, it also stands for kill all your opponents. That sounds menacing. Jet used to be a chef before joining the Valorant protocol. She worked at a restaurant in Seoul. However, at some point, that restaurant got destroyed due to a severe windstorm that wreaked havoc in the whole city, assumed to be caused by Jet herself. Well, now we know why she's so good with knives. Every agent has 2 ultimate voice lines. Reyna, for example, if she's on your team, she'll say, "They will cower." However, if she's your enemy, she'll say, "The hunt begins." Brimstone and Viper are the founders of the Valorant protocol. If you didn't know, the Valorant protocol is the name of the operation that all the agents are working under. They both formed it to keep the world safe from dangerous situations involving radionite. Have you ever wondered why, when taking damage, some health is deducted from your shield and some from your health bar? Well, it's not random. Your shield actually absorbs 66% of damage while you take 34% of it. Not all the current ranks were in the game on release. In fact, there were completely different ranks like Mercenary, Soldier, Veteran, Hero, Legend, Mythic, and Immortal. They eventually changed it to the current ranks with the exception of Ascendant. It was added because there was such a big gap in skill between people in Diamond and Immortal. On top of that, did you know that you used to be able to see people's ranks in the scoreboard as well? Did you know that Harbor is actually Gecko's coach, but not a Valorant coach? He actually gives him surfing lessons.
Hey, coach. This counts as training for today, right?
Cypher is married, and he has a wife named Nora and an unnamed child with her. But it's implied that he lost them somehow, but also not entirely confirmed that they're dead. Valorant's UI has always been on the minimalistic side, but did you know that it used to look completely different? It brings back nostalgia, but I prefer the new one. What do you guys think? Okay, this is a weird one. Did you know that you can't actually dodge Breach's flashes on sight unless your ping is lower than 60? Don't ask me why that happens, but if you're playing above 60 ping and your enemy has a breach, then you should surrender or alt F4. KO is actually from the future, where the world was destroyed due to a war between humans and Radiants. The Radiants, if you wonder, are the agents with abilities that aren't from use of technology. For example, Jet, Phoenix, Reyna, Sage, Skye, etc. There was a dark time where the spike was able to be planted in the air or even outside the site due to a bug with planning while using Phoenix's ultimate. It was fixed, so don't even try it, please. League of Legends is a canon video game in Valorant's lore. During the promotion of the animated show Arcane, Killjoy takes over the Valorant Twitter account and talks about being excited for it. She plays regularly, and as a bonus, in her friends list, you can even see Sova, Jet, Raze, Breach, and Brimstone. Valorant has a customizable ping wheel system accessible in the settings that is very similar to Apex Legends' own ping wheel system. We could say that they did the same as Fortnite and stole another feature from them, but I'm not one to comment on that. Did you know that Viper dislikes Sage because of what happened to Omen? Essentially, Viper used to be a scientist, and Omen was implied to be involved in an accident during an experiment that resulted in his death, or at least something close to it. She asked Sage for help, but she couldn't revive him properly,